Welcome to the 21 Convention, Miami, Florida. There are few people that have built something so amazing facing such adversity. And it's so hard to articulate in just a few seconds to introduce somebody. I'll let him share what he's going to share, but man, you know, I'm always going to bet on this guy delivering something that's going to change the world in a way that I can never put my finger on. The only thing I know is that it's going to be amazing. So let's bring on stage Anthony Dream Johnson.
Thanks. Thanks, Steve. First things first, guys, give yourselves a round of applause. This is the end of the event, the last speech. You made it through the longest, best 21 convention ever over the course of 4 days to right here, right now. Seriously. With that said, let's get into my talk. This talk is a vision talk. It's a company talk. It's a focus talk for everything that we do with the 21 convention, the Under 21 convention, and 21 Studios. It's not something I've focused on enough in writing, so I've taken time here today to do it with video, or on video for these guys, and here with presentation. To me, that makes a lot of sense too, because this company is super focused on presentations and video. So in the end, this is probably the best way to do it. The title of the talk is Building a Universe for the Ideal Man. These bricks will have significance later, I promise. Before going any further, I want to talk a little bit about purpose and goals of the talk. The purpose of my work that I've stated for about half a decade now is to actualize the ideal man. This is very serious for me, and it's a follow-up to what Ayn Rand did, which is depicting the ideal man with her work and her art. To actualize as well means to make actual, to make real. And with the ideal man, that is to make the best version of yourself real, here and now, on this earth, in your life. Not in some distant future, now. Whether that's with dating, your health, your fitness, your relationships, your wealth, and so on. A secondary purpose of my work that fuels into the first is to build a universe for him to accomplish this with, each individual man. And this started with me. I started this company not even as a business, we'll get into that, but I started out of a very selfish and self-pursuit of knowledge and education to make my life better. I wanted to become the ideal man of my own life and my own vision and have success in these different areas with health and fitness, and especially with women, which was the initial and original pain point that caused me to pursue self-improvement. Goals of this talk, kind of big, but definitely something to focus on. I want you guys to get behind every organization that's authentically dedicated to men, starting with 21 Studios, the company that runs this event, that runs the podcast, the 21 University, the YouTube channel, everything. But it's not just 21 Studios, it's just starting with 21 Studios. It's every company that we work with and companies that we have yet to work with that are dedicated to men authentically and genuinely and seriously. And we're going to get into what exactly that means as well. Well, before even getting any further, let's talk about that for a second. When I say authentically and genuinely, I mean companies and organizations and even individual speakers like Socrates, who doesn't run a company per se, but runs his own blog and his own personal initiative with relationships and relationship skills for men. These men and these speakers and these organizations are dedicated to men in a way that is primary. They're not making men better for society, for women. No, false. Men for themselves, for their own sake, for their own happiness, not for someone else. A lot of what you see with self-improvement, especially as it relates to men, is for someone else. It's other-centric. Oftentimes it's for women. Let's be better men for everyone but ourselves. Fuck that. This company has never been about that and never will be. And the men I surround myself with, whether or not they know it, are on the same page. That's important, and you need to keep that in mind when you support a company that's dedicated to men and presenting themselves as self-improvement for men in some way, regardless of what the field is, dating, relationships, health, fitness, and so on. When I say building a universe for the ideal man, for you to accomplish this pursuit of self-improvement and self-actualization with, I chose this word universe very carefully. I liked it, first of all, but I knew that it had a couple of different meanings. I was like, shit, is this going to work or not? As like a tagline for the company and a focus and a purpose. In the end, it did. The definition I'm working with for choosing that word is this: the people, places, experiences, etc. that are associated with a particular person, place, or thing. So clearly, when I use the word universe, it's not the grand definition, literally everything that exists. It's intended to be a universe for the ideal man. So everything that exists for you as a man right here, right now, to make your life and your own self the best that it can be. So it's like a micro or a mini universe, as I think of it personally. That's what I'm building, and that's what I've been building, whether or not I realized it, since day one, way back in July 2006. Just in the pursuit of better success with women, self-improvement, better health and fitness, and so on. I've been building a universe slowly, bit by bit, as time goes on. Now, it's important to recognize that I'm building a universe for the ideal man and working with and for men. I don't focus on women at this convention. We don't, well, we do in some ways, clearly. But there's not a lot of women here. There's one in the room right now, literally. So very, very few. And our viewership is the same. It's like 98% male every day of the week. So what I want to focus on here is the idea that, and my firm conviction is that right now in Western civilization, the culture is extremely hostile to men primarily. Like Zan Perrion talked to you guys about the other day, it is also hostile to women femininity as well. Women are sold a bag of shit and they buy it just like we do, and you have problems as a result, as do they. But overwhelmingly, I believe it's primarily hostile to men and masculinity. And this is important to keep in mind, because you're not told this, and it's not okay to openly acknowledge this. You're usually shamed and shunned for bringing it up. So I'll leave with a quote on this point that this is from the Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi is his pen name. He's a speaker, actually, for next year, 2017. It highlights what I'm talking about in the state of the culture right now. Virtually every conflict between the sexes comes back to the rejection of the legitimacy of the male experience. This, to me, is very much along the same lines as what Zan said to you guys when he was up here on the stage just on Friday, I believe it was. He looked at you guys in the audience and he said what? He said, I see rapists and pedophiles. Our culture right now, Western civilization, the greatest culture and civilization in all of history, as great as it is in some ways, is also so fucked up that if you're a male near a playground for children, you're seen as a pedophile. You're seen as a rapist. False rape accusation is a huge issue. You are demonized to the extreme, even in Hollywood movies. If you look at a villain throughout most movies today, you'll see him as the movie progresses and his villainness, his evilness is expressed. He becomes more masculine. He gets more hairy. His shirt gets ripped off. He's fucking just like jacked as shit all of a sudden out of nowhere. The more evil he is, the more male he is. And this is seen not only in what Zan's saying in here, but it's all around you all the time. You are demonized for being a man. You are pathologized. Even on this stage. I didn't even realize till a few months ago this. I heard on the stage just the other day. One of the speakers, and I love what he says most of the time, but this is an issue, something I took issue with. He said something about the Madonna whore complex, which you guys might have studied or seen elsewhere before this event. Even the Madonna whore complex is basically pathologizing and shaming a conflict we have or a complex issue. It's not a complex, it's a dynamic. It's something, again, that Rollo Tomasi talks about. So we are even the ones that promote this, an attack and assault on masculinity on men. With women, they do this as well, but we don't pathologize it and make it evil. Women do this with what's called, well, you've heard a few speakers talk about it, Liam and the private man, alpha fucks, beta bucks. We do this as well, but for us it's a complex. It's a fucking psychological issue. For them it's not. Bullshit. Before continuing even any further, I want to drive some more personal context. This image is me at 18 years old at the very first 21 convention, the Under 21 convention back in 2007, giving the very first speech ever given at a 21 convention event. I was very young. I was, again, 18. I'd been working on the event since I was 17. And looking back on it, it's just like unreal that I was able to do this at such a young age. But in doing so, it's led us to where we are today, here in this room in Miami, Florida, you guys in those seats. So if you're still young, a lot of you are. George, you're one of them. You're one of the youngest in this room. It's interesting to keep that in mind, that even young men can do a whole bunch, can do a whole lot. Some company history too. A lot of you guys are not aware of this. So the first event was called the Under 21 Convention. That was the original name of the organization. It led to today, of course, to the 21 Convention event. In 2009, I chopped out the under. So if you're ever wondering where the 21 Convention came from, that's where. This picture here on the right is the only picture we have in all of history, unfortunately, of the actual conference room on a grand scale and of the attendees at that event. I love this picture not only because it's the singular picture of the event, but because it shows the community element and the men who came and supported the event. A lot of you don't know this, but we didn't even charge tickets back in 2007 to the event, 2006. Well, there were tickets. You had to buy a ticket, but you couldn't buy it online. So the first event was funded by people showing up, flying in from around the world, just like you guys did, paying cash at the door, and me praying that we had enough money to fund the event. I say this not because of how close it was. We made $100 in profit for 12 months of work. I made about $10 a month. Woo! I say it because the event and the company and the organization has always been attendee funded, member funded, and viewer funded. And this picture, I think, highlights that. These men who showed up to an event that had never been done before empowered it to exist. If even 10 less men had shown up, we would have been totally fucked. I was 18, I had no money, I had $40 in my bank account to back this event up. These men showing up made this happen with me. I didn't just do this on my own out of nowhere. I was at the head of it, leading it, but them showing up enabled me to do this. I needed their help, and they helped me. The speakers as well, of course, were a huge component of that. One of them, actually, this event, aside from me, was here this weekend. The company, of course, has evolved over the years, not only in name and theme and function and literally locations, from Orlando, Florida, where we started, to Tampa, Florida, Austin, Texas, Stockholm, Sweden, London, England, Australia, down here to Miami, Florida, all over the place. But the universe is sort of like spiderwebbed out, and it's doing a whole bunch of different things now, which some we keep, some we kill off and make new things, and some we bring back from the dead. So, which is the reason for creating 21 Studios, by the way, if you guys are wondering, as a sort of master brand to encompass the many different things that we're doing. We have interview series that we do, we have podcasts that we do throughout the year, remotely and in person. We have, of course, the 21 Convention, which you guys are here right now experiencing. We recently brought back for the first time in 8 years the Under 21 Convention event back in Orlando this past June. We have 21 University, live streams we do, and we have documentary-style interviews, which we'll be doing more of tomorrow when you guys are gone. So the company starting, and the event starting, is this little event, little rinky-dink event. Some kid had no money, no idea what he was doing, has expanded rapidly into this over the span of 10 years. To the span of, and to the reach and the impact of about 20 million views across YouTube and WordPress, across many websites and different platforms that we have. Not only this physical one, but online as well with 21 University and YouTube and iTunes and so on. So it's interesting to look at it as I think very interesting, as a very small event for young men specifically, to now this, 10 years later. When I look at this and I compare it to the first event, I just always wonder ahead of me, what's 10 years ahead and what's 20 years ahead? That we're the 10 years in, seeing this, it's exciting. And you guys should be excited too. 10 years from now, 10 years ago, this company was much less than it is now. And 10 years from now, it'll be much more than it is now, just like you guys are. For those of you who are 30, you're much better than you were at 20, I can guarantee it. And at 40, you'll be even better than you are at 30. I want to talk about some key pillars for this little universe I'm creating as well. These pillars are issues and components of the company and the organization, the way I want to run it, that are very, very important to me, and that you guys have seen expressed, whether or not you're explicitly aware of it. So first and foremost, especially as you guys got a taste of today, this event was kind of lopsided with the schedule, whatever. There's a global, comprehensive panorama approach, as I usually call it. So you guys at this event have gotten hit with career advice, wealth advice, relationship advice, self-improvement, relationships, dating, health, fitness. Usually we even have more things like on top of that, like self-defense. So as you've noticed and as you've experienced, there's a very comprehensive, fundamental global approach. And I think this is very, very important. Our film director spotted this years ago. He pulled a little clip out of me giving a health and fitness talk. Is it possible to ignore one area of life and truly succeed in another? I think in the short term, maybe. In the long term, hell no. It is not going to happen. Basically, it was me at a young age identifying that a broad-scale approach to life was very, very important. Arthur Jones is another one that David Landau was talking today, you guys, to earlier today. His approach was what he called a generalist approach, and he was very passionate and very fucking serious about that, like everything else in life, which is awesome. I think it is also very important, and that's why I invite so many different speakers who are specifying in some certain area of life and experts in some certain area of life onto this platform, and I'm integrating them as tightly as I can into an awesome platform, a singular platform where you guys can come to it and have like a buffet of just awesome, awesome content that will make your life better in every single way, because every area of life is important, not just one, even if you just have one in your immediate focus. Another key pillar of this event and in this platform and this universe that I'm making is that it has to be available worldwide. Fortunately, I've made it in the time of the internet where this is very easy. But it always needs to be online. It always needs to be available by video anywhere in the world with internet. Basic, but important. There needs to be a huge freemium component to it, not only coming to the events, of course, where you guys are paying, but a freemium component, so online. Right now, that's YouTube. Before that, it was just the website we had where we had free videos to support the event. And that is super, super important because of impact. And many people over the years have persuaded me or tried to persuade me to close down a lot of the free content or even all of it and go with a pure premium model where we just charge for videos or the content like everyone else. I don't like this at all. I think there needs to be a legitimate, very significant, expansive, and significant, I think I already said that one, free component to it, because you need access to it without paying money to reach millions and millions and millions of people, which is what I want to do, millions of men. There also needs to be a premium component, which I learned not too long ago, because freemium stuff is unfortunately unsustainable. There's a very short window in the 10 years of this company where there was enough advertising revenue, so free viewer-based revenue, where the company was sustainable. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. So you need to have the impact, but it can't do it on its own. There has to be a flip side of that coin, freemium, premium. The premium, of course, is 21 University and the events. These tickets, as of yet, are not free. You guys have to pay to come anyway with flights and hotel. We charge you a ticket. You have an awesome time. We also have 21 University, which is helping support the company and making it sustainable and healthy, which is where it's like Netflix for men. You pay money, you get the videos from this event early, and you get them ad-free, unlike the freemium version when they have a shit ton of ads in them. And there will be a shit ton of ads in this video on YouTube. Enough to annoy you. If you don't like it, pay for it, man. Another key pillar of this event and this organization is that it's pro-man and pro-masculinity. It is not primarily anti-feminism, which is a collectivist movement that I really, really dislike. And 99% of our speakers do as well, and they talk about it. Tanner Guzzi, a speaker recently in Orlando, Florida, touched on this, that it's a lot more powerful and important and useful to focus on the positive. The negative is also useful. Evil things should be opposed. I believe that firmly, and I stand by it and act on it. But it's more important to focus on the positive. And in a culture and a civilization that is so hostile and aggressive and tense towards masculinity and male sexuality and men as individuals, you need this, and it needs to be part of the company, and I've done that, I think, very successfully over the years. Another one is pro-philosophy and pro-reason. Philosophy is basically the fundamental approach that I use to keep the company fundamentals-based, principles-based. And what that results in is a comprehensive global approach, so philosophy and that fundamental approach is guiding to the broad approach. And without it, you get over-specific and you get a lot of basically the tips and tricks you see on the internet. That one secret to get laid with the girl. There's very little of that here, and there's a reason for that. Philosophy is that reason. Reason is what guides me to get the best speakers I can in the world of this event, rather than for example, in the dating industry, you hear the dating coaches all the time complain about how most of the pickup industry is complete shit. These guys are charlatans, they suck, they don't know what they're talking about, they're full of shit, they're selling bullshit every day of the week, and it's horrible. Them coming here is like a mecca for them because they like all the other speakers and coaches. They're like, oh my God, amazing. These people don't suck. Steve's laughing, he's right. He's seen it more than anyone here probably. Him and Nick and Brent, maybe. So reason is what guides me. Reason and a rational approach to human life, not some fanciful or emotional one or subjective one, an objective one. Finally, it needs to be pro-self and pro-individualism. Pro-self meaning, well, pro-self, you are important, your life, not becoming better for even someone you care about, your family, your friends, whoever, society or some shit, or for women. Let's be better men for women. No. You be a better man for you because your life is important, first and foremost. Your happiness, your success that you want to achieve in life. If there are things that are a close second to that, no problem with that. But your life is important. You need to keep that in mind. And with this company and with this organization, I do that, and I do it relentlessly. This is from Yaron Brook back in 2012 at the 21 Convention in London. I'll never forget this moment because during his talk, he gave a talk on basically moral philosophy, why be selfish. During his talk, he said, the goal of my work and what I do with the Institute, I'm paraphrasing, is to save Western civilization. And this hit me really hard, and it got kind of like quiet, like in a movie, like where it's like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? It was important to me because it was the first time and the closest time in the entire history of the company, even to this day, where I heard someone give a purpose to their work that was very, very, very close to my own. It hit very close to home for me in my heart and my mind. That was in 2012. In 2010, you saw this company taking a turn. We started getting a lot bigger speakers. This is when we had Dr. McGuff and Mark Sissencom, which really opened the event up to getting even more speakers beyond that. I bring up Yaron's point because I think what he said, saving Western civilization is a goal. That, in many ways, is what I'm doing, but I'm doing it in a more specific way than he is. He's doing it more broadly with other issues in human life. So in this talk, this is a picture taken very shortly after the talk. Unfortunately, there are no good pictures of me actually doing the talk, but very close. So in this talk, Changing the Course of a Generation, at the end, I talked about things like saving Western civilization and changing the course of a generation, clearly by the title. But I did something that pissed off a lot of people, including objectivists, that would follow someone like Yaron Brook. I said that men are the ones who are going to do it, not women. And I knew that was true, and I was convinced that was true, but I didn't understand why at the time, and I couldn't understand why for years. I really didn't know. I was firmly convinced on the total sum of my knowledge that that was the case, that men would be the ones to do this, not women. And this is important to recognize and understand. And I didn't know why. Now I do. Men are leaders. Women are not the ones who are problem solvers on the scale that we are and to the depth that we are. We have to do it. We have to lead. We have the burden of performance on us to do this. And as a testament to that, you have what? Civilization. Everything that's in this world that we enjoy, almost everything, has been built by men. This camera, this room, the air conditioning, the TV, this little clicker in my hand, everything, the phone in your pocket, everything has been built by men. We built civilization. So back then, I didn't understand how different men and women are. And another way you can put this is that women create life, men make life possible. And civilization, Western civilization specifically, is the ultimate expression of that. Right here, right now, you guys sitting in it. Probably at the end of this camera, them watching you from it. So the future of 21 Studios. There's a few things, in particular one big thing that I want to unveil next year at the 21 Convention 10-year anniversary event in Orlando. But the broad scale future of it is this. With 21 Studios, I want to create the highest impact media empire on earth that is dedicated, or at the same time, dedicated to men and what is true. There's nothing like that right now. This company is the closest thing there is. This company, this little event right here is just an expression of it, is the most popular men's conference in the world and the best, the highest quality, period. Nothing even comes close. Ask any of the speakers who go to other men's events of some kind, dating events and whatever else. This event blows it away every single time. I want to continue to expand on that and take it to a scale that is truly, truly remarkable, way above and beyond what has already been done, with millions of views and 100,000 subscribers or followers on YouTube. This is the goal. So some of the metrics towards getting there. We recently broke a threshold of 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Cool. The next one is 300,000. I was talking to Ed Drees about it, I think, yesterday. Is he back there? Oh. He just left. Oh, dang it, whatever. Anyway, we were talking about 300,000, 500,000, then of course 1 million. My personal goal for the company is 1 million subscribers by the end of 2019, end of the decade. That is definitely achievable, and I would intend to hit that with every ounce of my soul and my body. I also want to hit 1 billion views. And I've recently discovered that there are over 600 channels on YouTube with over 1 billion views. So as big as these numbers are, they're quite achievable. Within a few years, this company will probably have, if I can keep it alive and sustaining and healthy, over 1 million subscribers. Every single speech that Nick Sparks, Robbie, Socrates, Primal Joe, Ted Rice, anyone gives will go out to literally 1 million men a few months or a few weeks after the event. That's insane. As of right now, there's 100,000, 1/10 of that. Soon there will be 1 million. And then beyond that, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. And so as big as these numbers are, especially 1 billion views, it's not that crazy. As it stands, Nick Sparks, speaking on the stage, just a handful of speeches, he's been seen by 2.5 million men. There's a couple dozen of you in this room. But on the other end of that camera, 2.5 million. And that's just with Nick. Never mind the rest of them. James McClain is another one with 1 million. That's insane. So let's get into the why, which is what I'm leading into here. The purpose of those metrics is that video is insanely powerful. It is infinite and indefinite in reach, assuming civilization continues, electricity, internet, so on. So you have maximum impact with video. You have audio, stimulation, you have video or visual. You have emotional impact with a speaker getting very passionate, very intense. Primal Joe is a great example of that this morning. He started his talk with a skit. I'd never seen anyone on the stage do that on this platform. It's a great example of it. And of course, you have intellectual impact and reach. So video is something that just hits on this, and this is the reason why the company, I keep it so focused on video and not even audio or ebooks. Video is really, really, really powerful. Not just in movies and art, but in ideas and change. And they echo over time. As long as there is still YouTube or anything even close to being like it, 21 University or whatever else, these videos, things that Socrates and Robbie said years ago, half a decade ago, they're seen by hundreds of men every single day. That is really, really important because guess what? Half a decade from now, they will still be seen by hundreds of men every single day, not even considering the talks they just gave that are not even out yet. So video is really, really important, and it is central to this company, and it's been that way since day one, before I even realized how important, how awesome video was. Another future element I wanted to get into is a quote from my favorite philosopher and novelist, Ayn Rand. It's a quote that says, "Those who fight for the future live in it today. Those are the speakers." However far ahead they are in life than you, they got there because they're fighting for it, tooth and fucking nail, in their own specific way. Steve with sex, Sock with relationships, Primal Joe with his health and his fitness, Ted Rice again with his health and his fitness, Ed Drees with his career, Robbie with his work and dating and relationships and so on. So it's specific to each person, and they're at, I think, a place in their life where in the future, lots and lots of more men will be at. And if you guys do the same, if you fight that hard in your life for those results, you can be there too. Not just in the future, but basically right fucking now, very, very quickly. The third future is more interesting, I think. So we have this company, and we have these organizations that I surround it with, the natural lifestyles, the sexual life, and so on, the social coach, and so on and so forth. And it's like, I want to make this change, I want to make this impact on Western civilization, right, and the culture. I want to make it, for example, a lot less hostile to men and masculinity. On one hand, you would want to think, or might think, that that's going to take, years and decades to change that and to fix that and to improve that. And then someone like Sock or the private man won't even get to see the results of that. I think that's false. I think change can happen a lot quicker than most people realize. One of the ways you hear that expressed at this event too is someone like Sock talking about achieving a lot more in 5 years than you currently realize. that's the correct quote. Got it. So if you look at someone with a young child, like Steve or Socrates, they're impacting men and improving the world not only for themselves and their own personal happiness, they're doing it also for their children, whether or not they realize it. They probably do in most ways, but even in ways they perhaps don't yet. I think if they live long enough, and they certainly will, being in this event, talking to people like Primal Joe and Ted, they will get to experience the results of that. So it's not some distant third generation thing where you're like dead and gone and then things are better. Fuck that. You want to experience that right here and now, and I think they can. And the way they'll see that expressed is when Sock has a daughter and she grows up and the culture is a lot healthier for her and not fucked up. Same with Steve and his sons. So you get to be a part of that and participate in that by making the world better because you fucking live in it and you can experience that and hit that here and now and soon, not distant. So I want you to remember on this point and kind of reiterate this. These speakers are fighting for men. They're fighting fucking hard. Whether or not they're even realizing it, they're doing a really, really good job of it. And I think I am too with this company and this organization. And you guys are as well, whether or not you're realizing it, being here at this event and supporting this event and supporting these speakers and working with them, taking coaching and buying their books and so on. You're here just pursuing your own personal happiness and success. You're like, my life sucks with my health or my fitness or my dating or my relationships. I want to make that better. But in doing so, you empower these speakers to get on the stage, get in front of that camera, and reach literally millions of people who have the same problems or very similar problems and obstacles in their life to you. So by doing that, you empower them to fight for you and for other men who are not here at this event, not getting the experiences that you are. But they can and they will. So something to consider is, why doesn't this exist yet? Why does little young punk Anthony Johnson, 17-year-old, little shit, just 6 weeks out of high school, have to go do this? Why doesn't it exist yet? Well, I think that great things are often unnatural. So there's sort of an obsession in our culture, and that's fine in some ways, with natural things. Because in some ways that's really good. Eating naturally is usually the best way to go. But elsewhere in life, there are things that are very unnatural, but they're really, really awesome. Civilization itself is the highest expression of that. Obviously, it's completely man-made. It doesn't exist in otherwise than a state of nature, and it's pretty awesome, unless you happen to prefer living in a cave in the middle of nowhere. 100% of technology is unnatural. Even more specifically and less obviously, I think, monogamy and marriage are very unnatural. They're 100% man-made concepts. They're created, but they're really, really good for human life. If you notice along these four, civilization, technology, monogamy, and marriage, these things are supportive of individual human life and they further civilization. They make life better. Versus being in a state of nature where you don't have these things, and then you have complete shit, and it sucks. Technology is good. Civilization is good. Monogamy is good. But these things also require thinking and focus. We can go off on this tangent too. So monogamy is my favorite one because it's one that's very controversial right now, I think. So Socrates in his opening address at this event mentioned that monogamy is unnatural, I think verbatim. Not only is it unnatural and is it man-made, but it also requires thinking and focus. So this is where the tangent goes. The culture we live in is unhealthy in a number of ways. It's not just this stuff. They're seeing that's talked about at this event. It's elsewhere too. I think for monogamy to be successful in dating and relationships, it requires critical thinking and focus. And right now you don't have a lot of that. You have a huge lack of that. And so the result is monogamy is hard. It's difficult for a lot of people. So like I mentioned with the first event, I showed you guys that picture of those attendees, right? I need your guys' help. I can't do this literally on my own. I can't stand on the stage, run the event, and be in the audience at the same time. It's not possible. It's stupid, right? I need your guys' help, just like I need those guys' help to be at that event, support that event, and make it happen. Just like with speakers like Steve and Robbie need you guys to take coaching for them to run their businesses, to live their lives in the way they want, so they can help you to live your life the way you want. I love this quote. It's lead me, follow me, or get out of my way. General George Patton. I love it because Socrates, we were filming at his house a couple years ago, an interview for this company of him at his house. And he said something very similar to me. I was there, Soc was there, the film director was there, and Voldemort, we'll call her. He said, and I'll never forget it, I love seeing it on video, maybe once a year I'll go back and play it. He said, I met Anthony, he was a young punk. Dang, that's the rest of it. I'm losing train of thought here. He was a young punk, and I think it's along the lines of, I knew that I need to either, watch him, participate, or get the hell out of the way.
You were not going to be denied.
Yeah, I'm not going to be denied.
I met Anthony when he was a young punk. It was amazing. It was a stellar individual. He was going to stand out amongst 100 guys. Here you have a very, very young guy, just incredibly sure of himself, direct, and even when he wasn't sure, there was this flair to him that wasn't to be denied, and it wasn't going to be denied. But it wasn't just that cockiness and self-assuredness that resonated. He aspired. He literally dreamed. And that's where I think I've always liked that real election of, as far as the avatar and the name was dream, is because it really did represent him, and it was a reflection of him, is that he aspired for more and he was going to achieve it. And you knew this was someone to watch, one way or the other, whether to stay out of his way, to watch from the sidelines, or be a part of it. This one was somebody to watch. So I met Anthony when he was a young punk, and I've got to see him develop, and it's been a pleasure.
So, I mention this because I need your help, and I'm leading this event. Just by default, I'm the founder of it, I'm the CEO, I'm the default leader of it by de facto, just by the virtue of creating it itself. So I hope that in building this company over 10 years, you guys can not only see that I need your help, but that I've done a pretty good job, for better and for worse. I'm far from perfect at leading this company to where it's at today, right here, right now, alive and well in Miami, Florida. And building this company out and reaching millions of men, having over 2,000 videos on the internet, reaching over 10,000 men every single day of the week. Not only here right now with you guys, but around the world right now. As we speak, there's probably a couple thousand men watching videos from this event right now, this very second. So I mentioned to you guys that little brick shot that has significance, and I almost let it slip early. Right now, you guys sitting in these seats, listening to me talk, is a snapshot in time. This day, this minute, this moment. But I want to reiterate, because I briefly touched on it earlier, that what I'm doing and what you guys are helping me do is building that universe, brick by brick. You guys aren't the bricks. The speakers are the bricks. I have a Socrates brick, Robbie Kramer brick, Ted Rice brick, Mark Sisson, Doug McGuff, Steve Maeda, and so on and so forth. This universe, in a sense, you can look at it as just a house of bricks, and a building it brick by brick, speech by speech, video by video, interview by interview, idea by idea, conversation in the hallway by conversation in the hallway, man by man. And it is fucking hard. It is really hard. There's been over 200 speeches in the history of this company. And along with the speakers and you guys attending, I've had to fight really fucking hard to make this happen. But I'm glad I did, because it's worth it. Because this universe is fucking awesome. As small as it still is, and as big as it'll become, it is awesome. It's been awesome, and it will continue to be awesome. So you guys are helping me lay bricks. Doesn't look too exciting, but think about the experience you guys have had this weekend. How much fun have you guys had being here? How much have you been impacted in your life? It's been fucking amazing. I'm sorry I've missed even a single minute of it, having to work on this speech and run the event. I love being here with you guys. I'm kind of jealous in a way. You guys can attend and just work on yourselves. I got to run the event. I need more Kevins. Let's clone Kevin. Where's Ed Druce? We need him too, and Ian. So let's get into some specifics. We're talking about this big stuff. Western civilization, the culture is in some ways better than it's ever been and sucks worse than it's ever before. 21 Studios, I think, and the 21 Convention represents a rise of men as a push against a culture that's very hostile towards men. Like Yaron Brook talks about elsewhere, not at our convention specifically, but elsewhere, in relation to his comment about saving Western civilization, he talks about like a next renaissance. I think the 21 Convention and 21 Studios represent a masculine renaissance, a renaissance for men. To be, just like Zan hit it, I think, really good. I don't know the exact quotes off the top of my head, but if you go back and look at his talk, you'll see what I'm talking about in relation to this. That's what he's doing. Writing that book, giving these speeches for his younger self, that's what that is. That's the beginning of a masculine renaissance to push back against waves of feminism that have fucked this up. More specifically, of course, actualize the ideal man. That means specifically you doing that in your life. A lot of you guys end up emailing me after the event or watching videos, and people email me all the time. They're like, thank you so much for doing this. How can I thank you? There's, of course, like a bunch of different things you can do. You can come to the events, you can donate money, you can join 21 University, blah, 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 blah. But really, excuse me, the best way you can thank me for building this company and making these videos available on YouTube, 21 University, and so on, getting these speakers here, is be fucking awesome in your own life. Be that ideal man. Go fuck that girl, man. Do it. Seriously, get her into bed, have an awesome time. If you're overweight, lose the 50 pounds and keep it off. Fuck losing it temporarily. I don't ever want to see it again. Be happy, get lean, get in shape, be successful, get rich, get the girl, get the relationship, start a family, build a family, be that man, live that life. That is the ultimate thanks. And I want you guys to remember that when you see me talking about actualizing the ideal man. It starts with me. I'm very selfish. I want to do that too. I want to see it in you guys too. Show me your happiness and do it yourselves, and that's the way to thank me. And the speakers too, I can guarantee you. You ever take coaching with somebody, you want to thank them? Prove to them that what they did helped you. Demonstrate it. Don't talk about it, show it. Further in specifics, a masculine renaissance that is successful and enduring and sustainable, I think would have a very clear dominance of men in social realm, the cultural realm, political and legal realms. It's basically a male-led society. One of the most important points you can really, or quotes you can kind of fit into that, is that men must lead or be misled, which is something I think you guys have heard in a varied way, or many different ways throughout this convention regarding dating and relationships. Men must lead or be misled. Feminists in particular don't want equality. Few movements want equality, seriously, very legitimate, genuine equality. Feminists want to get rid of the patriarchy, their conspiracy version of it. They want a matriarchy. They want a power reversal, not equality. That's very, very bad, because men must lead or be misled. There's no alternative. In summary, beginning of the summary, I think we live, of course, in interesting times. The presidential campaign right now going on is a really good example of that, but just a small one. But a broader paradox is that, and I've seen Ten Rice, I think, post about this too, living right now in human history is like, in many ways, better than it's ever been. It's also more fucked up than it's ever been. In Socrates' opening address, he mentioned some research that came out not that long ago, demonstrating that right now, obviously, and in some ways, it's easier to hook up with women than it's ever been in history, right? You have Tinder, Bumble, bars, going out, blah, 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 right? My generation, millennials, are having less sex than any previous generation or recent generations. Think about how fucked up that is. Never mind the more serious shit of men being seen as pedophiles and rapists, like when Zan talked to you guys. How fucked up is that? Not to mention divorce rape and all these other things in legal and political realms. Men and women are different. Men must lead or be misled. There's no alternative. Men do not want to follow women. If you do for any long period of time, you get resentful, period. We need different things. Men need to lead. Women generally and consistently need to follow. They don't want to lead. Think about if you've ever been out at a bar and looked at a woman. Has it ever occurred to you in your life that, wow, she's a leader. It's really hot. No, it's not attractive. But, old school pickup, PUA stuff, and it's right. Leadership is an attractive quality. Being a leader of men or a leader more broadly. Look at authority figures, law enforcement, firefighters. What is the classic one? Men in uniform. These are leadership positions of authority. These are attractive, but it's one directional. This plays out, I think, in a much broader scale than we realize. We need a universe for the ideal man, period. That is the only way you're going to push back against feminism, against a culture that is very, very hostile to men and masculinity. Nothing else is going to do it. No amount of unorganized discussions and movement is going to do it. You need something that is integrating all these different things, which I think I'm doing really, really well. Pulling speakers and organizations and nonprofits even to this event, getting them on stage, the same stage, from very different areas of life and arenas of life, in front of that camera and publishing these videos and these speeches out to literally millions of people every year. We need it, and we have to build it, and we're gonna do it, and it's gonna be awesome. And the end result will be that we need a renaissance, and that's what that will lead to. The masculine renaissance, I think that Zam would be, and will continue to kind of push for in his own specific way, and the other speakers will as well. Socrates with the relationships, Steve with sex, let's all have sex at the same time. I love what Greg Swan said about sex, or not sex, but Steve years ago. Same thing, that if the whole world was gonna end like tomorrow, Steve would be like, let's all just socialize and have sex at the same time at the last second. Something like that. If you hear that, you'll hear it, like, yeah, that's exactly Steve. We need this. Lead. Other men will follow, and so will women. Men will follow because you can't lead everything. So, for example, let's just take myself. I think I'm a decent leader. I do pretty well leading this company, this organization, this movement. Not perfect, but I do pretty well. But you know what? I'll never be a leader with sex or relationships. For the rest of my life, Steve will know more about sex than I will, period. And I'm fine with that. I'm going to learn as much as I can to meet my goals and achieve them and be really happy in that part of my life. But I will never be Steve Maeda. I will never be the red mole. I will never know as much about relationships. I follow Steve on this, seriously, just like during the Q&A today during lunch. With relationships, I follow Socrates on that. He knows more about it than I do, and he has a better, deeper understanding and passion for it than I ever will. And I'm okay with that. I follow his lead. I don't expect him to be perfect. I need to judge what he's saying and what he's thinking, but I follow his lead. The same thing with health, with fitness, with wealth, and so on. So as much as I am a leader, I'm also a follower. I follow these guys on these specific issues. That's what I'm doing. I'm in the audience just like you guys in most of the cases, most of the time, following what they're saying and applying it to my life. Because I can't be a leader of everything. Only a few select things and do them really well. I believe women will follow because they are weaker and they want to. That sounds really misogynistic and like derogatory and insulting. It's not. Physically, women are weaker. This much is obvious. There's very little dispute about this, right? But to think that women aren't psychologically weaker than us with corresponding biology and physiology to show that they're weaker for hundreds of thousands and millions of years, to think that their psychology is divorced from that physical difference is, I think, absurd. They want to follow, they're attracted to it. Again, go back to the attraction thing, leadership qualities. Women are attracted to leaders and authority. They desire it. They want to follow. The last thing a man thinks, for example, is like, I can't wait to be swept off my feet and follow that woman for the rest of my life. No man has ever thought that. I sure as hell haven't. Women think this way, not exactly, but in certain ways. They desire it. They want to follow. They want to submit. They don't want to lead. They don't want to dominate. They're going to try to push that on a micro level, on a personal level, shit tests and so on, but it also happens on a much broader scale. And I think that's what you've seen with feminism over the past 40 years at least. And the results are bad. The results are men losing overwhelmingly in divorce court, getting divorce raped, losing, I think, 86% of custody battles for their children. That's not equality. That's child custody rape. You're getting fucked for no reason other than bad ideas. And these things playing out on a broader scale. Finally, start with you. Lead your own life. Fight to the death for what you believe in and the kind of world you want to live in. Starting in your own personal world, your own personal universe of your life, your happiness, your success, with health, wealth, women, fitness, and so on. I want to hit 1 million subscribers and 1 billion views and way beyond that. I'm willing to fight for that to the death, and I will hit it even if it fucking kills me. I hope you guys do as well in your own life. Thank you for coming to the 21 convention, guys. You've been awesome. Oh yeah, questions. Yeah, I'll take some.
Who's got questions for this guy?
Oh, cool.
Maybe the answer is obvious, but would you ever have a woman speaker?
We have.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was a disaster.
Okay.
No, I have a few in
Again?
mind. No, totally.
Okay.
On a more serious note, we have, but that wasn't because she was a woman. It just was a bad idea. Steve was around for those days. No need to even talk about her name or anything. It wasn't that as bad as playing it out. But I do have a few female speakers in mind. I'm happy to do that. Dr. Christina Hoff Summers is a really good example. She runs the Factual Feminists. I think she's a great speaker. There's also a few paleo speakers. Dr. Kelly Brogan's a good one too. She's a psychiatrist for women, actually. So what exactly she'll talk about, we'll see, but she's a good example too. So there are a few female speakers I have in mind. Haven't acted on it yet, but in the near future I might, and happy to do so. But overwhelmingly, I like getting men together at this event, not only with attendees, but with speakers, because like Andrew, the private man, talked about, there are very few male spaces left in Western culture. The barbershops, the bowling alleys, the cigar lounges, things like that, these things are gone at this point. This kind of event, this kind of movement, this kind of organization, or workshops with speakers and stuff like that, are some of the few male spaces left in society right now. So I want to protect that and safeguard that and not let that get infiltrated in any way, any kind of bad way. So it's important for me to keep it really focused on men. That's where my focus is at. That's what I understand. I'm a man. I know what it's like to be a man. I have no idea what it's like to be a woman. That's also the reason I don't do a female convention. I have no idea what it's like to be a woman. Does that answer your question? Cool. What's going on?
I've seen 10 years of your speeches. Well done, my friend.
Thanks.
And if I may steal your glory, Anthony Johnson in 2010, you can't succeed in one area of your life and ignore the other areas of your life. In the short term, maybe. The long term, no way.
Thank you. Zach's got one up there. Yeah.
I'm particularly pleased by seeing the imagery, because as soon as that image of you being 17, it just reminded me how much of a young punk you really were.
Still am. Still am and
You
proud.
are, but there's a massive difference. You're now truly a remarkable man, and
Thank
I
you.
mean that in all sincerity. And it's not just that you're a leader of this group, this organization, this company, this idea. You literally are the embodiment of that spirit.
Thank you. Damn. On this note, that you bring this up too, I wanted to comment that your young punk comment in that interview, I realize now, and that's why I like listening to it about once a year, because it reminds me of who I am and where I want to go and where I've been. That in some ways, clearly I'm not just a young punk anymore. I've been through a lot of shit. I'm catching up to some of you guys. You guys have been through a lot, that's why you know a lot. But also, I still am a young punk, I think, in the best of ways. And I want to keep that, nurture that, and maintain it. So I'm truly arrogant enough to think I can do all these things. I believe it. I'm going to hit 1 million subscribers, 1 billion views, 10 million subscribers, way beyond that. I think I can actually change the world and change the course of an entire generation. Narcissism, I don't know. I don't really give a fuck, because I'm going to do it. Will not be denied, right?
I love the event, Anthony. It was great. Where can I sign up for 2017?
You can do so right after the event. We in the back, me and Kevin will take ticket orders if you guys want them. It's going to be July 2017, our 10-year anniversary event, Orlando, Florida, 5-day event. We were founded back in 2007. And also, if you're watching online, you can go to the21convention.com. Excuse me. had a little food earlier. The 21convention.com/events. And that'll get you a ticket. What's your question? Yeah. Wait for the mic. Yep.
As someone that's young and really focusing on my own leadership in my life, I come to an event like this and I see so many leaders. Do you think it's ever possible to follow too many leaders in a way in which you can lose your center as a person?
Possibly. How old are you, by the way?
24.
Cool. Good age. I got married at that age. Yeah, I think it's possible to split your focus too far, and that's something I've thought about a lot with content at this event, the categories that I include in it. So it is. I'd say just be mindful of it. The fact that you're even asking the question is a good sign. One of the ways too this looks is I don't know if it was Robbie or someone else who mentioned it, but you need to pick like a few different speakers or camps with like dating and stuff and focus on that. If you try to focus on anything beyond, for example, like this one event, like this many speakers, which is already a lot, you're gonna get mixed up and fucking confused. So a few at a time, small chunk it. Just be mindful of it even more than that. If you're mindful of it and aware of it, it's probably not gonna be a huge problem for you. So good question.
If someone assassinated Donald and Hillary and decided you'd be a good candidate for president of the most powerful country in the world, what would be the first three things you'd do to save Western civilization?
Wow, that's a huge question. Holy shit. Wow, I'm not even 36, not even legally able to do that. Oh man, abolish the income tax, abolish most executive orders, abolish the IRS. Income tax is particularly insidious and evil, I think. It punishes success. It represents less than half of the revenue in the United States, federal revenue, like 48% or something. You don't need it. Probably propose a constitutional amendment to always balance the budget. Every single one had to be balanced. You can never increase the debt. Probably also legalize and enable competing currencies. So the monopoly as the US dollar has on currency in the United States is very bad, I think. Also abolish the draft or the selective service. I think it's also very evil and malicious. So the draft is no longer there, but you have selective service, but I think that needs to be done with immediately. So IRS, income tax, abolish most executive orders, most of which are illegal. And then, yeah, get rid of the draft. Fuck the draft. If you want to support this country and defend it, power to you. That's really serious. But to forcibly put someone into military slavery, I think, is evil and insane. If someone doesn't want to do it, or if there's not enough people left to save the country, there's nothing left worth saving anyway. Volunteer-based, 100%. Next.
What are the areas that you haven't explored that you want to invite speakers to speak on? Ooh,
okay. I want to get more red pill speakers. You had Andrew the Private Man here. Socrates is really close too. We've had him for a long time, but Andrew the Private Man is a good example. Some more red pill people. That means a focus on female sexual strategy and male sexual strategy on a level that we sometimes hit at the convention, but not super consistently. So a lot more in that arena. Probably more wealth speakers, money, career, things like that. But that's really hard because they all have a lot of money and they want a lot of money, and I don't have a lot of money to give them. So it's kind of a catch-22. You want these like huge like money speakers, but they all want like a shit ton of money that I don't have. So it's like, how do you get them? So we'll get there though. But yeah, wealth, red pill guys, more manosphere guys, I'd say. Next.
Yes, I'd have a question, but first, I just want to say, James, don't do anything that I would be stupid enough to do. And secondly, I was just wondering, like, is it possible that we can, I guess, secure access to tickets now, today, and pay for them, like, in a year?
You mean like,
well, not in a year,
you can
but
put a
like,
deposit down, I guess.
Yeah.
But we're going to discount the shit out of them for you guys here. These guys online, they can buy whatever. They can pay more. But you guys will get a really sick discount, so you should have bought a ticket.
Yeah.
Where's McNally? Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see if we can work something out, though. Yeah, definitely want you there. Next.
What is the best 5 non-pickup books that you advise us for our personal development?
Oh, pickup books? Oh, non-pickup books. Oh, shit. That's a good question. This one's kind of close to pick a book, but perhaps not, so I need to get it out. It's one I've read recently. It's really good. It's called The Rational Male. Highly, highly, highly recommend that. The Fountainhead is my personal favorite novel. Definitely not a pick-up book. Very inspirational, motivational for me, and a guide stone in life for sure. The Fountainhead. Which one? The Fountainhead. Fountainhead, like a fountain, water. It's called The Fountainhead, Ayn Rand. Another one would be the Walter Isaacson biography of Steve Jobs. That was also very impactful on me. Beyond that, Body by Science, not a pickup book. Body by Science changed my life. I used to work out every single day for years. Really did a lot of damage to my body, got really skinny. Not a good idea. I found Body by Science, and I've worked out very similar to his protocol now for like 8-9 years, and it's been really, really great. Put on muscle, a lot less stress in my life, a lot more free time, and a lot happier. So Body by Science. And then a diet book. You could use Perfect Health Diet. Paul Jaminet, he's a speaker here. Mark Sisson's Primal Blueprint. One of those. Anything in the paleo movement that's huge like that is really, really good and really important for building an awesome life. Without your health, I think Tony Robbins used to say, without your health, you have nothing. So get good health, get good exercise, read really good biographies like Steve Jobs, and novels like The Fountainhead. And The Rational Male is particularly important because you're a man, and if you are heterosexual, you are going to be interacting with the opposite sex for the rest of your life. Rational Male is really, really important book to read. He'll be a speaker here next year, of course.
Last question.
Yep.
Material things outside of 21 convention or
Material?
Material things outside of 21 convention, dating coaches and stuff. What are the top 3 things that you would say a young man should invest in?
Ooh. Yourself, first and foremost. Matt has to save your life. So top 3 things you invest in yourself. Yourself, your education, if that's any different, I would say. Maybe, perhaps it is. So that doesn't necessarily mean college either. Like, this is education. You guys are not only investing in yourself, but your own education doing this. That's really, really important. You're investing in your future. Beyond that, I would say guns and gold, honestly. Keep it simple. Hopefully nothing super bad happens in the near or distant future, but you never know, and guns and gold are a really good way to safeguard against that. Inflation as well, and any kind of like serious event. Never mind, like natural disasters. We just had a hurricane pass by Miami and Orlando a few weeks ago, and could have been really bad. Nothing really happened. But if it was, guns and gold are good to have. Very, very good. That includes silver too. That answer your question? Oh, and books, of course, but hope that's a given at this event.
All right.
Anything else?
Let's give it up for Anthony Johnson.
Thanks.